Here we are once again with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. I'm Steve Gamache, and what we have right now is the Zakuri Aogami Super Sujihiki 270mm knife. So the core steel in this construction is Aogami Blue Paper Super Reactive High Carbon Steel from Hitachi, also known as AS for short. The heat treat, they don't specifically say, but I would guess it would be in the 62 plus range, probably 62, 63, possibly slightly higher than that. The construction is 3 layers, so on either side of the harder core steel, you've got a soft iron reactive cladding. So the entire knife is reactive. There's no stainless on it. The cladding does have a kudauchi or blacksmith protective finish on it, and then on top of that, they do coat the entire blade in a food-safe lacquer. I'd say the out-of-the-box edge is kind of average, maybe 5 out of 10. Reasonably sharp, but you can do a much better job if you take some time sharpening this. You can tell it was sharpened somewhat quickly. The weight and dimensions are going to vary a little bit from knife to knife on these as the way that they're made. So this particular one is 188 grams or 6.7 ounces. Edge length, a little oversized, 275 from the tip all the way down to the back of the heel, known as the chin, or about 10.8 inches. And then the overall length of the blade is about 17 inches, right on the money. These are fairly thick coming out of the handle, so this one's about 4.1 millimeters, and then about halfway down I measured it about 3.1, and it maintains a fair amount of thickness until you get to the grind where it thins out a bit towards the tip. But these are definitely not thin knives. They're fairly thin towards the edge, but they're pretty stiff. They're actually quite stiff. So if you're looking for a slicer that's got a lot of stiffness to it, this certainly has that. Blade height is about 35.8 on this particular sample. That can vary a little bit again. Handle is a right-hand kind of biased D-shaped handle that's made out of rosewood with a plastic resin cap or sleeve on there. A little bit of a gap between the wood and the plastic, which is kind of normal for this style of handle. The rosewood is a nice upgrade over some of the ones you see like this that are hoe wood. So the circumference of the handle is about 68 millimeters or 2.7 inches where that wood meets the plastic ferrule. And let's see, there's a fairly good size gap here on the neck, and that's a good spot for your finger for a pinch grip, so it makes a nice location for that. Balance point's going to be pretty far forward, as is normal for this style of blade, especially one that's got a heavier blade that's thick and stiff, so this particular one's up there, in case you're interested in that particular aspect of it. The grinds look fairly decent on this. It's a little hard to tell until you put the knife on some stones and see where the high spots and low spots are in the grind, but it looks fairly clean. Edge bevel on edge profile on both of these, the 240 and 270, got a couple of hiccups. This one's got a high spot back here. We'll see that when we go on the board, but that's pretty easily remedied. The rest of it looks pretty clean. So sometimes on these lines that are a little bit more on the value lines, you might have some small things to do to it, so that would be one on this particular one. If this is a pure slicer, you're probably not nearly as worried about the edge profile on a cutting board because they're not doing it, you're not using it in that manner. It does have some filing on the choil here on this side and a little bit on the other side to make it a little more comfortable, and a little bit of relief on the spine. Let's take a close-up look at it here. So the kudauchi finish is fairly smooth. You've got some I shouldn't say hand chisel, you've got some embossed or pressed in kanji on the right side of the blade as you hold it, and the left side of the blade as you'd be holding it and using it, you've got the Zakuri name stamped in there, and as well as a kanji there as well. And you can see a fair amount of shine there. So this is a kind of a faux Kasumi sandblasted finish on the blade road where the grind is, and then you can see the core steel coming out at the edge there. Let's see. One nice thing about these, both blades were nice and straight. So straight on the cutting edge part, straight on the spine. So that was a nice thing to see. In case you're interested, here's what the cutting board profile does look like. And you can see there's that little hump right there I mentioned, but that would be pretty easily remedied. If you even cared, if this is a true slicer, you probably won't be doing what I'm doing right here. But very interesting line of knives. So it's got a nice rustic, a lot of character to it, and Aogami Super, which is great steel, nice edge retention, It was a good straight blade and interesting knife. So this is the Zakuri Aogami Super Sujihiki 270 millimeter knife.